All right, so Brian, in these new markets.
Sorry, kind of smirk. Woo, my bad.
You're the biggest smirk. Brad, so big question that I know a lot of borrowers want to know is how do you enter new markets? What do you look for when you're entering new markets, and how do you make sure you can execute outside of your comfort zone, I'd say?
Yeah, so I came down from New York about 5 years ago and came to the Philadelphia market. I'm from South Jersey, kind of Haddonfield, Cherry Hill area, but to be honest, I knew nobody in Philly working in real estate. And so, it was a process of learning the market at the same time as building credibility with agents that you're going to be able to close. I think that's the number one thing, is trying to build, some sort of personal relationship with one or two agents that are doing some deals and kind of sell the dream to them in terms of, I'm going to be here for a while. It's going to be a long-term relationship. I have integrity. I have the ability to close. And while I'm going to be figuring out the first couple deals, it's going to be a process. And so I think that, selling that long-term relationship as opposed to a one-off kind of a thing is the most important thing, and it's what served me well. So.
Sure. No, that's a great point. And to kind of piggyback off of that, I guess building a team is sort of like key to executing in a new market. What do you look for? Like, what strengths to building a team and surrounding yourself with people in these new markets?
So the biggest thing about building your team is finding people like lawyers, lenders, that you can make sure you have the ability to close. So as I talked about, when you're talking to agents or brokers and forming that credibility, oftentimes you can get that credibility from either partners in the area that are local, so you can do an investment with somebody else and then gain credibility that way first. You could, find a lawyer, you could find a lender, but having that team in place so that when you do find a good deal, you're able to jump on it is the biggest thing. So, and then lawyers and lenders also will have good referral networks for agents and know the local laws. So that's a great way to get started.
For sure. Yeah. So, Brad, I think one thing that's really important to our borrowers and the investing community is kind of run us through. You've done it. You went from New York to Philadelphia, built a new market, successfully invested in a new market. Kind of run us through how you did that, and more so, even from your first deal, what the confidence looked like, building the team, everything. Just run us through, like, soup to nuts, how you were able to do that.
Well, the biggest thing is recognizing, I think, that you're not an expert in any one area. And so, as I talked about before, finding that team was kind of the first thing that I did. So, the biggest thing that I didn't know when I first got into Philly is, okay, what are rents in this neighborhood? So I was able to find a younger property manager, actually Jared Gruber, who, started going out with me to visit, properties and telling me exactly what the rents would be in that area and kind of removing that risk. So whatever level of risk that you can remove by finding great partners, and even where I am today at this point, I don't know construction that well. Yeah. I don't know rents that well. But what I do is when I find a deal that on the back of a napkin seems like it could make sense, is I call my property manager. I call my construction team. I call my design team. All those kind of layers is something that I go through in due diligence. And I think that if you can sell yourself to your team, and get them to invest a little time up front with you. That's what I did when I came down to Philly. So, I ended up buying some stabilized stuff in Fishtown because I really liked the neighborhood, but had no idea where it was going. So I bought on the edge and kind of hoped. I bought a 6 unit on 12th and Spruce and kind of jumped in. I think that's the other thing that people get really afraid of is just actually pulling the trigger. And so making that leap in. And I'll tell you what, if you have good instincts and, you have team members that are telling you, okay, it's in the right range, your first deals are to loan. And that's what whether you have your own money or you have money partners, that's the dream that you're selling, is that I'm going to get better with every deal. And so, I got lucky with certain deals, had good instincts to start, and then you kind of roll them into more experience. But biggest thing is building your team and that trust level along the way, so that you can fill in the gaps of your own experience. And so for me, I managed to learn on each deal and improve, and doing the little things right, like tracking your actual construction numbers and showing up on site and making sure that you're understanding more of construction, so that when you look at a deal, you look at the basement and you say, hey, all right, to underpin and do this dig out of a basement is, this price per square foot. And you get a general range. Every deal will be iterations. So what I've seen, even on the highest level of guys that I know that do real estate development and or construction, even when I was in school in New York, learning some of that stuff, was that they literally just go back to their previous deals and plug in numbers, because if this is different, I think this is a little less, I think this is a little more, and it becomes a little bit more of an art than a science. And if you can have that historical background along with team members, then you're good.
And I think you hit the nail on the head too. You don't have to know everything yourself. That's the whole point of building a team. You have a guy or a girl that knows that. You have a woman that knows this. I mean, that's the beauty of building your team. So appreciate that. Yeah.
The other thing I would say is, if you are looking to get into doing your first deal or even second deal, providing value to a real estate developer that might be on a smaller scale right now, whether it be, finding a potential deal, and instead of getting an assignment or a wholesale fee, you throw that into it, or give it to them for free, just for a little bit more access to the deal so you can learn.
Sure.
When you are doing your first couple deals, you really don't have that much to do. You're kind of sitting around twiddling your thumbs. So finding some way to add value to someone that you can learn from is a huge way. And even if you invest a little bit of money into one of their deals and just say, hey, I'm going to give you this little bit of money. I just want to see some of your numbers, maybe ask a few questions here and there. And that's a really good way to get into it.
Hands on. Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Appreciate it so much, man. Thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
The man, the myth, the legend. Brian Zuback.
Hey, one day, right?
Thanks, guys. Building your team. What team members?
All right.
Make sure you say lenders.
Yes, obviously.